It is still March 20th, 2026. I don't know. It's like 5 something, right? Yeah, it's 5:21 p.m., obviously, since it's like broad daylight. Um, idea I wanted to bring across. This has obviously been a very much family effort not to have me in my royal standing. I'm like, wow, even my black family is against me being in the royal standing because how dare I have that opportunity? But I don't understand. Well, since 2019, that's when I was put into um, the terrorist screening database as a woman named Maria Robles, and that's when I was being monitored. So obviously, in 2022, when people tried to kill me, that became an issue. And since I was already being monitored by the FBI, they had to look into it, right? So obviously, for the last 3 years, going on 4 years, it's March right now. So in July, we'll be going on 4 years. It's been a lot of back and forth between the royal family in England and the Commonwealth Republican. I don't know what you want to call their administration, and the United States because they both took hands in orchestrating what's going on for me. I understand that they're trying to get rid of the people that are part of the satanic cultists, that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. I do understand there's people that do believe heavily in, the actual rituals and stuff, and they maintain that. Una Maria Harrington, she wanted something different. She wanted her children to have the opportunity to have whatever religion they wanted because she didn't agree with that. And that was her choice. But she was still very deeply devout Catholic. She was very deeply devout Catholic. Um, my father would read the Bible to me. So, I did have that. And I noticed a lot of little idiosyncrasies that Yuta would do, which is she always would have salt, throw it over the shoulder. If I said something or cursed, she hated when I cursed. She hated when I would cuss. She'd be, Jackie. And I was like, Mommy, it's a form of expression. She was so funny because she was, and I don't mean this in any disrespect. I love her. I miss her so much. But she was so rigid in her beliefs, in her ideology. And sometimes I would be a little brat, and I would be like, "Well, mommy, what about this? What about that?" Um, I guess Kit Harrington was with my twin sister because, as I spoke before, it's about the quantum mechanics of string theory that I still don't typically agree with because, we think of it that way for our minds to understand it, but there is no separation between matter in the same context. Um, going back, when you have two identical particles that are separated from each other, like twins, and you stimulate one, the other one is automatically stimulated by the other. It's just the interconnectedness of it all. And I remember when Game of Thrones came out that I was like, oh, that's my husband. It was also because his last name was Harrington. So I was like, oh, see, because I always wanted a man that had the same amount of letters in my last name. I know this sounds so childish. The same amount of letters in my last name or more. So I remember I was like, Antonio Shaw. I was like, that's only 4 letters. That's not even more in my first name. But the thing is, my first name's 9 letters. My last name's 10. So it's kind of hard to find somebody with, the same amount of less. And then I remember meeting this guy named O. Darrington. And I was like, oh, yeah, no. He was a brother. He was a dark man. But I didn't like him. I didn't have any interest, not even in communicating with him. I mean, just we didn't click. It's not like there was something bad about him. We didn't click. So, yeah. Um, but I guess it was he was married to Jasmine Harrington before she was murdered in my 20s. And then I remember 25 through 28, I didn't have any of these problems. I didn't have eczema, I didn't have skin issues, nothing. It was wonderful. I was like, what? I could eat whatever I wanted to eat. I didn't have any problems. And then 28 came, and then I started having problems again. So this is what happens when people are like attacking you, doing black magic, poisoning you in the physical reality, putting stuff in your food. You know, this is what happens when you're targeted because, you know, people are spiteful and vengeful because they don't like your role in society. You have bloodline that they wish they could have, and even though you don't have it, they mock you for it because, you know, you don't even know you have it, or you're being used for things from other religions that you don't even know about. For example, me being RAPE'd through the Catholic religion without my consent. Um, and then because I'm running away, they're like, wait, now we have to go over here. And so they're spending all their money trying to find me. And I'm spending all my survival instincts trying to get away from whoever is like following me, breaking into my apartment, you know, stalking me, monitoring my stuff, you know. This is not, but this is what they do to African American royal bloodlines. They don't do this to the Caucasian ones. Why? Because they're already in power exactly where they want to be in England, but they don't want the African American ones to have power. So they tried to disappear. They tried to cut out Yuta Maria Seiler Harrington and her daughter Alexandra Harrington. Why? Because Alexandra was RAPE'd by my father, and hence I came. Now the only biggest problem is, for the Catholic religion, you want somebody who's spiritual. You want somebody that has actual connections, actual spiritual gifts. Well, it sounds like Christopher Harrington was RAPing me all this time, or somebody was, or doing astral projections, or siphoning from me because I didn't even know I had it all this time. And since he's part of Hollywood, they thought it was a joke. Oh, she doesn't even know her spiritual talents. Ha ha ha. Well, we're just going to use her for this. We're going to mock her. And then 2025 came, and I created Digital Deep Dive Corporation, exposing targeted justice and a lot of what are people doing, you know, what people are doing. A lot of that the FBI and, you know, or law enforcement is putting people on a terrorist screening database. And, you know, as people that they're not. If you do a Freedom of Information Act, you'll find out. If you suspect the police are doing it, you can do that. I was for some reason, my first Freedom of Information Act came up that I was part of a police training program as Maria Robles, and that was on the East Coast. And I was like, that's weird because Maria Robles is from New Jersey. I've never been to New Jersey. She's 2 years older than me. She barely looks like me. She's like very light-skinned Hispanic. Like even in the pictures, you can tell she's very light-skinned Hispanic. She has a very circular face. I don't. I have more of an elliptical face. We have similar hair, but her hair, the way she wore it, was very different than mine. She has 2 kids, and she was married. I don't have any kids. I was never married. So they tried to make me out to be her so that they could illegally get FISA warrants and watch me. But that was to monitor me because in England, they didn't have any access to me. So that's what they did here. So when we talk about a false prophet, during my spiritual initiations now, I am being given incorrect information so that I look bad. Because again, it comes back down to they don't want an African American doing it. So people like Beyonce Knowles and Jay-Z also, since they are the rare African Americans in the satanic cults, how dare I come along? How dare I be Queen Bee when I'm actually the queen? And that was the jealousy that created the humiliation rituals. Along from them siphoning and fraudulently siphoning in, money through my business, Digital Deep Dive Corporation, to England, to Christopher Harrington, which is Kit Harrington. Why did you guys do that? I don't understand. To make it look like I was going to marry him and be with him? That's what this is about? I mean, isn't he married? So that's another thing. Isn't he married? He chose where he wanted to be. He's married. He divorced my twin sister. Because I was thinking about this. Everybody keeps saying that he's supposed to be with me. No, no, no. He already had that chance with my twin sister. You guys killed her. You murdered her. So now I'm curious because you've been trying to find somebody else to take my place in my family, and nobody can. You thought Kearney was going to be able to do it, but Kearney wasn't strong enough. So since Kearney couldn't do it, but she was the only light skinned, she's Egyptian, by the way. They brought her to foster care in Egypt to groom her at a young age. So she had no self esteem, even though she was gorgeous. The things you have done to my family. You already did this to Sophie. You thought that she would be a good good portion of that, but you need somebody who's spiritual. I'm the only other one that has that spirituality. You're not going to use my nephews for this. You tried to use my nephews in place of me. They're not capable yet. They're too young. The oldest is 20, Xavier, and Xavier doesn't know anything because all he knows is what my father, what my father, what my brother have taught him, which is nothing. They don't know spirituality. They know how to do what black magic. I don't even think my brother taught him that. He just used him. He didn't think he was worth anything. So my poor Xavier. And then, my older sister with her son, I have no idea if he has talent or not. I have no idea. I don't know what she taught him, but obviously they taught them to be more of the Masonic aspect of it. So the only other person is me. Because I'm the only other person since he killed Julie. Julie was an earth angel. He killed her too. She was the only other person. I love Jess. But Jess has a lot of inner turmoil. She would not make the most practical leader. Her goals are not for the people. And I think if you're going to be a leader, your goals should be for the people. It should be for justice, for order, and for respect for all. All. Julie was a floater. She really didn't care about anything. She was just trying to survive for her and her son. So Ezekiel would be the next in line. He's precious. I love that boy. You're trying to get rid of my family so that nobody in a black heritage actually has the throne. Interesting. You tried to cover it up so bad, but you can't cover it up anymore. And then when I created the business, you're still trying to work in tangent to cover it up, but you can't cover it up anymore. You don't like my business? You should have never persecuted Jews. You should have never persecuted African Americans. You should have never persecuted black women. You should have never persecuted anybody. So you reap what you sow.